Hi, my name is Megan, and this is a Naughty Mess Knitting Podcast. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 15. My name is Megan, for those of you joining me for the first time. I am a knitter and yarn lover based out of the Pacific Northwest. I live just north of Seattle with my husband, Mike, our daughter, Theo, and my mom, Cindy, plus our dog, Winter. We can't forget about her. She's on all of the yarn things because her hair, she's a shedding dog. We are having a regular podcast episode and probably a little bit short today because I'm still not feeling awesome. I just have a lot to talk about, and baby is napping. It's Saturday. Don't normally film on Saturday, but I thought I would just get something out there today. I feel mostly fine. I just very strangely had a 14-hour fever and a little bit of a sore throat. No COVID, but just some sort of, bug going around. And the sore throat may get me, so I sound mostly normal. It's like my tonsils. They just hurt a little. Okay, I have water next to me. I'll be taking a lot of sips of water to get me through, but let's go quickly. I have 2 finished objects. I know, what? Because I had a bunch last week too, so this is kind of crazy. I am still in finishing mode. And I actually haven't cast anything new on other than my Duotones, which I did the swatch for, didn't show you, but I did actually cast on this week. And I feel like I just have so many empty needles. I mean, obviously that means I should probably cast something new on this week, right? We'll see what happens. Let's talk about what I'm wearing, which is the first finished object of the week, and that is my superlative sweater. So let's talk details while I have them here on my lap, and then I will stand up so we can take a closer look at it. So this is the superlative sweater by Samantha Guerin, who is Samantha Guerin Design on Instagram. It's a top-down, drop shoulder, relaxed fit, boucle cardigan or boucle pullover. It is a size 6. That's what I decided to knit. It's a 52-inch bust. The recommended ease is 4 to 8 inches. I decided also to do a little bit bigger. I think the size that would have been closer to my bust size, which as a reminder right now is 47 inches, depending on what bra I wear, but that's what we'll call it. Anyway, so I was thinking to do a little bit smaller, also because it's just so many stitches, right? Sometimes less ease is also the look I'm going for, but this is like the sweatshirt feel, and my favorite sweatshirt is just about this size, actually. So I kind of measured that, and I was like, okay, if I can get away with it with how much boucle I had, because I kind of wanted to just use as much as possible. I have not actually weighed the leftovers yet, which I will do and put up in my Ravelry page sometime this week, but I'll give you some information about it. Anyway, so I did this with the recommended needle size, which is 3.75 millimeters for the body, 3.25 for the ribbing. I actually also use a 3 millimeter for the hem, which we'll talk about in a second. So it's Explorer Knits and Fibers Boucle DK, which is 100% superwash merino, 240 yards for 100 grams, and Cashmere DK, which is all of the cuffs, the collar, the hem, and that is 80% superwash merino, 10% nylon, 10% cashmere. It's very soft and so nice, and it's 231 yards for 100 grams. Okay, so let's talk about this. I had 4 full skeins of this, which Sylvan picked up for me very kindly from the summer market this summer when EKF had, they opened their studio essentially. She and a couple of the other knit friends flew down there and got some yarn. So I showed all of what I got from summer market a few episodes ago, and this was the first thing I knit with Summer Market yarn. It's my first EKF knit, so that's also very exciting. And I love it. The colorway is To the Stars Who Listen, which was a collab with her and Red Door Fiber Studios for the ACOTAR series like collection that Red Door Fiber Studios was having, and Allie just made a complimentary color or two. I think that this one here, Court of Dreams, which also Sylvan got for me at the Summer Market, which it's like the most amazing color. This one is also an ACOTAR colorway. And I'm excited to knit that one up also. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to say about this? I love the fit. Let's stand up. I'm gonna also, maybe I'll do this earlier, so you'll already have seen it, or I'll do it right now. I wanted to put a couple of pictures, like I just took some pictures outside so you can actually see it like from a little further away on me, but you can see most of it here. It has a relaxed fit. The hem is a folded hem. So it has that nice pearl ridge, which is the only way I really like folded hems. It makes it look so finished on the end. Like that looks so nice. And then I did a full bind off all the stitches and then sewed it down. Okay, I want to talk about that in a second because I thought she did that in a really smart way, but let's look at the fit overall. The boucle is so fuzzy and nice. It blocked out really nicely. From further away, you can kind of see like all of the knit lines. When you're like looking at it up close, it just looks like in person, it looks just like fuzzy, which is great. That's what it's supposed to look like. It does have, you know, quite a bit of positive ease. It sits really nicely. I think the measurements are supposed to be, what did I say, 52 inches. And when I blocked it, I pulled it to about 50 and a tiny bit, because I really wanted to, I could have blocked this part a little bit more, but I could not block this any more than I did. And that's why I'll talk about it. But yeah, the sleeves, lots of good sleeve room in here for me. The sleeve starts like, gosh, it's hard to see that line. It's easier to see on camera than in person. It's like right here. Anyway, my upper sleeve has lots of room. The sleeves were done in a sort of an interesting written method. Okay. And then the cuffs. So very cute, very comfortable. Okay, let's talk about things I liked and didn't like about this pattern. This was my first Samantha Guerin pattern. She's popular. She's got a lot of things out there. I have a couple of others from her that I do want to do. Like I've heard really good things about the Salty Air Tee, which is one I own now. And I have the Fall Frolic pattern, which is like just a colorwork yoke. Okay. We were talking about this because Katee is also making this, and so is Ariel. So my first thought is, overall, I really enjoy the fit. There were a couple things I felt like in grading that were like almost a little bit lazy grading. Like every size is the same length in body, which I just feel like is probably not correct for everybody, because especially for a drop shoulder, where your body sits, like it's all 15 inches, and 15 inches on me is kind of long. Like, I mean, it sits nicely like right at my hips, but on anyone shorter, which I know you can just adjust length, like these are things you can adjust anyway. I just feel like if you're a newer sweater maker, like there are things that could have been improved a little bit. I actually really like how the neckline sits, but there is no back shaping. That's another thing I would probably, if I made this again, I might just add that. I don't know how it'll wear over time. This is the first time I've like put it on to wear. But I think because of the depth, you maybe don't need it so much, but I do think, I think that still improves how your shoulders like feel in the make, just having a little bit of short row shaping in the back, which I'm sure is so annoying in boucle. Like I can't really imagine doing short row shaping in boucle, but I still think it would be better if you did. Like I would probably do Japanese short rows if I did it in boucle, because you don't have to like read your stitches. You put a stitch marker on it and then yank it over the next round. Yeah, that's probably the only way you could do it. Anyway, I also thought like the sleeves were done interestingly, because it was like you knit for 1.5 inches for all sizes, I think, and then you just do this amount of decreases, and then like just do your cuff. Like, and I added a little bit of room before I did the cuff just because I wasn't sure how much this boucle would grow. It grew a good amount. I mean, this is the length that the sleeves were supposed to be, 17 point somethings, like 17 3/4 inches. But I wouldn't have gotten there without adding some more length before the cuff. I like how long the cuffs are though. I think that that's like a nice touch for this like sweatshirt feel. I probably would make the collar a little bit wider next time, or like a folded collar even for a more sweatshirty feel. I don't think I want to change it on this, but we'll see. I have more of the Cashmere DK, and not a ton more, so here it is. I mean, I probably have like a third of a skein left, so I could if I wanted to. I don't want to. That sounds annoying to do, especially because I did a sew and bind off. Yeah, so interesting. So sew and bind off for these two, and then the hem is just like a truly folded hem. You know, it's not a ribbed bottom to match the rest. I do think this gives it the most sweatshirty feel. I think maybe you would have been too annoyed to do like, I don't know that you want folded cuffs, not like long ones like this that are like folded. That would be kind of nuts. But definitely like maybe a folded collar would have matched nicely. Anyway, what I liked about it is I enjoy a folded hem. I know people find them very annoying. I do think it looks super polished though on the bottom, and the weight does help like a little. I think it does pull it down. What I think people find a lot is that folded hems often flip, and that's very annoying. So what I did was and there's one thing I would have changed with how I did it, but it just says knit 1.5 inches, do your purl row, and then knit another 1.5 inches, bind off and sew down. What she does note is sew down every other stitch, which I've never done. I've always had the instructions are like sew down every stitch or something like that. Sewing down every other stitch, I think made it go a lot faster, but I think you have less ripple. And also if you get off by one stitch somewhere, you can just correct, and you're not gonna be missing anything, right? So what she did not say to do in this is, I like to go down another needle size for your inside portion. So you can even see here, just keep standing up. Here's my 3.25, and then that's 3. And I did them different sizes so that you don't get like a bubble. You can obviously just do a couple less rows, but it's really hard to determine. And I also didn't, I wanted it to be a little bit smaller. This is something that I got the tip for doing in my first folded hem knit. Maybe not my first, but in one this summer, which was my high time top. And there was like, in the tester group, there were a lot of good ideas going around. And one of them was like, in order to discourage flipping and also to make it like a really nice fit, so you don't get any bubbling or anything like that when you sew down, is to just do one size smaller on your inside. So that's what I did. There's only real modification I made to the pattern. I kind of just did everything else. I added a little bit of length in my sleeves, but everything else to pattern. I was really over knitting the body of this, but this week I was like, you know what, I'm so close. It was my desk project for a little bit over a week when I was just on the body, and I just needed it to be done. I cannot believe also not all of us, but like 4 Pacific Knit West knitters, my little knitting group, cast this on October 1st. It was this or another boucle knit, and I definitely thought I was going to be like last. I had a lot of other things going on. I'm the first to finish. Everyone is like, the boucle, it's not that easy to knit with. It's not unenjoyable, and I really love the end product. I mean, this is so cozy. Like, I wish you guys could sit here and like snuggle this. It's so nice. I'm a big fan. I will definitely knit with boucle again. I'm not going to go crazy having tons of boucle in my wardrobe though. I do know that it's wearable for me. I've got like store-bought boucle things that I've, from actually years ago, that I still wear. So I do know it's wearable for me. it's annoying to knit with though. I mean, it's like every stitch you kind of have to pay attention. You often get caught in the little loopies. It's not a mindless knit as much as like a stockinette body should be. But yeah, I think end result is that I love this. Okay, that was a lot about that, but I just had things to say about it. Yeah, so I mean, I guess what over under is I think that boucle sweaters are worth it. I think this pattern was just medium as far as like, do you need this pattern for knitting boucle because it's written for boucle? No. I think you can do any DK pattern or even a worsted pattern, just anything you can get gauge on in your boucle, which is most of the time DK. Like, just use that pattern. It'll be fine. It'll do all the same things. What I will say is this tends to, it does grow when you block it. For me, it didn't grow a ton. I didn't super aggressively block it, but again, my hem is like a little bit tight. Oh, that's the other thing, is because I went down to the 3mm needles. I bound off with 3mm. I should have just bound off with 3.25. That would have given me just a tiny bit more slack. But it was fine. It was like, it's not very tight and it gives it a little bit of structure there at the bottom. I also do only like to do, again, after learning this from the ashling, but really I think I've heard that it's also more structurally sound if you bind off first and then you sew down. If you bind off like you cast off and join together at the same time, you're relying on that one piece of string to be both your last stitch and you know, strong enough to keep the two pieces together. Whereas if you bind off, then you're just sewing in and there's less stress on the yarn. This is something I've heard. Anywho, well, I said it was going to be shorter and I'm just chatty McChatterson. Okay. Second finished object for the week is my Daft Days shawl. You guys, look how pretty it is. It's fun, right? It turned out so nice. Okay. I have two pictures, which I will put up here, maybe next to each other. Let me go this way so I give myself room. Of it pre-blocked and then blocked. There was a big growth from this one. I kind of aggressively blocked it, but not really. More just like I wanted the ends to like taper a little bit more. I don't remember what the measurements, I don't even know if she put finished measurements. She may have on the pattern, but I put in 51 repeats of the 4 repeat, so it's 204 rows or whatever, before the ribbing. And so I think I didn't look at her measurements necessarily because it wouldn't matter. She only did 48 repeats and then more ribbing than me, but I don't know by how much. My ribbing ended up being, you know, just over 1.5 inches, and I think hers was 2 or 3 inches, but the ribbing looks nice. So because of yarn scarcity in this last skein, where is this? Like, hi, can you focus on this beautiful yarn for me? Oh, that's the back. It doesn't matter for the ribbing, but because of scarcity of this last skein, I basically did the transition here, and then I did like 1 repeat and a half, and then I started the ribbing. Maybe just 1 repeat and then I started the ribbing. Yeah, I mean, she gave us a lot of freedom with this test knit. Let me give you the details really fast. So this is the Daft Days shawl by Rebecca Clow, who is the Crave on YouTube and Instagram. The shawl is due Monday, the final. She just gave us the feedback form and finally the Ravelry code. So I have my Ravelry page built and I just need to put in some notes. It's a slip just a slip stitch pattern. It's a super easy shawl. It's part of her Advent duo though. So she's doing this shawl, which is the same stitch pattern as her Daft Days cardigan. And that also comes out, I think, the end of the week. I think she usually releases patterns on Friday. So I think it's like the 24th she's going to release the pattern. So it's in time for people to start their Advent makes or whatever. And both patterns can use an entire Advent, and it would probably not be the entire Advent yarn. But she's giving options also. You can do fades, which you would be able to use a lot of your Advent if you did a fade. Like if you just used up minis basically until the end, honestly, you could do it that way. And there's somebody who is doing like a bunch of colors for the fade. Anyway, I used 4mm needles. The recommended size was 3.25 and I was nowhere near gauge. I'm gonna look now that it's blocked, because I don't know if I'm off a little bit now. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. But I used Treehouse Knits Winter Solstice Fade from 2022 in Sequoia sock, and the colors are, let's see if, I don't know if they're in the right order, but this is what I have written down. Glisten, Light the Way, which is this middle one here, Arctic Dust, which is this pretty one, Fallen Leaves, which is the most orange band here, and then Last Rays, which I think is where we were last time. I had just started Last Rays, which has got the blues and the oranges together. Juniper, which is this pretty green color, has a little bit of purple in it, a little bit of orange, and Winter Solstice, which is this dark purpley brown teal color. A little bit of gray is in there too. Okay, and Sequoia sock is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 200 yards for 50 grams, and they were all, I had 7 50-gram balls. I have quite a lot of most of the colors left over, and I have almost none of the last colors left over. It's super pretty. I'll put a picture up of me modeling it outside just a few minutes ago too. I have it like wrapped around my neck. Honestly, I don't know how to wear a shawl. This is for my mom. Also, like, can we also admire the inside? Like, I actually really love the fade on the inside. This is the, wait, no, that's the outside. I really love the fade on the inside fabric. Like, I feel like it looks different. It looks more, it's not more pronounced. Maybe it's like a better fade on the inside. Anyway, like, look at that there. That looks so pretty. So I think you could wear this inside or outside, and it's not like, this would not look bad. Anyway, I don't know how to wear a shawl. I don't like walk around the house with a shawl on like this. But yeah, this is gonna be for my mama, and I mean, I'm not gonna wait till Christmas to give it to her, but it'll be part of her Christmas present maybe. She has seen it. It smells so nice right now. It's really my favorite part of being done with the make, is blocking and washing and having wool wash smell so yummy. Okay. Alrighty. Moving right along. Anyway, this was an enjoyable project. It really was. It was super easy to memorize the pattern. It was kind of meditative. It's a great way to use up scraps. It's also a great way to feature like some really pretty hand dyed colors you might have. I like it in like the like truly striped format too. It's just, this was the yarn I wanted to use from my stash. Okay, let's talk about whips. So this is my first deadline project. It's not the first deadline, actually. This is like a couple days later than my only other test on the needles, but this is my Duotone. You guys, how cute is that? Oh, it's gonna focus. There it is. Okay, I think it's so cute. As a reminder, this is the Duotone by Rachel Costello knitwear. I usually put the picture up here so you can see like what the full pattern looks like. This is a 2 yarns held together, contrasting colors, intended to be contrasting colors, knit, that has like the piping, so it's an I-cord down the middle, down the back, on the sleeves, like that's the detail. And then also your hem, cuffs, and collar are all in the main color, whatever your fingering weight is. So I am using ZZ Textiles non-superwash fingering in ink. That's the blue color. And that's 100% non-superwash merino 2-ply, 400 yards for 100 grams. And then ZZ Textiles Baby Surrey in leather. And this was like a sponsored, partnered collaboration design between Rachel of Rachel Costello Knitwear and Rachel of ZZ Textiles. So the Baby Surrey is Baby Surrey, 74% Baby Surrey alpaca, 26% silk, 328 yards for 100 grams. I think both of Rachel's samples that she's like done now, and she's been posting them on her Instagram repeatedly, they're both with mohair, and mohair and Surrey have a very different composition and fluff level and coverage. And I've said this before, like I knew that going into this, it was going to be more of the leather color than it would be the ink. I think her mohair ones, you get a lot of like more marly looking, and this is going to be pretty green. And I'm obviously, I like green sweaters. I'm fine with that. The reason I didn't do ink as the main color is like this color combo I really loved, but ink's tone when it was on Surrey changed a lot, and on leather not as much. And just like it was a little bit grayer and it was a lot lighter, which is what happens when it hits Surrey. And I didn't want them to be like too much of the same tone. I still wanted that kind of contrast. So this is what I decided on. I think as it grows, you'll see it more. I mean, you can see that it's like definitely going to be marly. It's just going to look more green than blue, which is fine. The blue is really going to pop in the collar then and on the hem and the cuffs. So I'm not very far. I have like 1.5 inches done maybe. But just getting it on there was the goal for this week. And I have lots of time. This is not due until the 2nd of January. I am making the size 5, which is 54 inches. Recommended ease is between 6 1/4 and 11 3/4 inches positive ease. That's like a huge range. The 54 inches for me is 7-ish inches. I think like with the look of this, that's okay for a relaxed fit. What else do I have to say? It's a drop shoulder, it's crew neck, and I think I talked about this last week, but you get to, obviously this is a provisional cast on, you do a provisional cast on so you can do as much of the body as you want before you split for back and sleeves. She does recommend you have at least 4 inches before. I'm going to see how it goes. If this feels a little bit meditative, I might do more of the body, like 8 or 10 inches and then split. Probably not much more than that either way, so that I have like a actually good idea of where I want the body to be. But because this is like an I-cord, an actual I-cord in here, you can, Sylvan was concerned I wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't work if this was done a different way, having the provisional cast on. Anyway, I'm liking it. It's been fun so far. And I've just been working a couple rows here and there. But yeah, okay. Let's move right along. The next deadline knit is also a pretty far deadline from now, and it's my kettle chip socks. And these socks are another pattern by Maddy Mo from who is Momer01 on Instagram. And I just did the ashling for her, which is still not out yet because the deadline got moved, and so it's not until December something, the first week or 2 of December. And the test is due December 31st. This is going to be a free pattern. It's going to include both toe up and cuff down options for free as just like an easy recipe for using self-striping yarn. You could do it as a vanilla sock with any yarn, but this is specifically for self-striping yarn. We start this section here. I am making a size 4, 9-inch circumference, 72 stitches sock, 2.25 millimeter needles, which is recommended, and my recommended, like my preferred sock needle. It's the one I have the most of in long needles because I like to do magic loop socks. I am using for the, well, we'll see if this is the only one I use. But right now, the contrast color is just Cascade Yarns Heritage Sock in black. That's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, 437 yards for 100 grams. It's super squishy. Actually, it feels so nice, and it's like very plump. And then the color changing, you guys, how fun is this? This is white Birch Fiber Arts sock, her just sock base in Once Bitten. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards for 100 grams. They come in 2 50-gram balls and 1 skein, so it's 200 yards for 50 grams. I won't need the whole thing to make a sock. I don't tend to like really tall socks usually, but I kind of want to make these a little bit longer because it's so fun. But I'm going to see where I am for like the length I would normally do. Like, and then I will see how much I have left over. Because if I can get another pair of socks out of this, or like, that'd be pretty fun. And like maybe just shorties. Not for me, for somebody else, but that'd be really fun. Anyway, okay. Also, I don't know if I said this last episode, but I looked on white Birch Fiber Arts just to see if there were other colors I'd like to order from them. And they're not dying right now, so hopefully it was a health concern. They decided to stop dying earlier this year, so I hope that they come back because this color is so fun. So here's where let's see, one of these. Okay, last week here's my beautiful little, can you see, Hello Lavender stitch marker or progress keeper. This is where I was last week, and I had not cast this sock on yet, so I made lots of progress here because these are so fun. I've been like kind of trying to keep them equal-ish, like 1 or 2 stripes and then 1 or 2 stripes. And by stripes, I mean like the whole color band, even though it's technically 3 stripes in a color band. So I love that. Each of these colors has a light, a dark, and a medium. Light, dark, medium, light, dark, medium for all of the different colors. It just keeps it super interesting even when you're in that kind of larger color band. Okay, but how fun are these? I love them. I'm like very excited to wear them. Okay. What else do I have to talk about? Oh, okay. So I have made a tiny bit of progress on this. This is the only one I think I didn't put a progress keeper in this week. You guys, I'm a psychopath. I just like ended mid-row, but I was knitting on this. We did a call with our San Francisco knit friends, my Pacific Knit West knit friends here in Seattle. We did a Zoom call with the San Francisco group that we are doing the Calm Down Cardi with, and we've got like a Facebook chat, like, or Facebook, you guys, who uses Facebook? I don't know where that came from. We have an Instagram chat. It's all meta, I guess, right? And we have, people have been pretty active on it. We talk about things, not just Calm Down Cardi. Like Shreya had her baby. Shreya, if you're watching this, congratulations. I'm so excited for you. I'm here for all the mom talk. Yeah, but yeah, so that's so exciting. She told us like right after. It was so cute. And he's very cute and little. Okay, anywho, Well, Shreya didn't join us on our call on Thursday because she was busy having her baby. She was at the hospital. But there were a bunch of other people on and we were chatting, and it was really nice because I barely got to join the first call, like 10 minutes, and had a baby on my lap and she was being loud. So I don't know where I was. I was probably like right here-ish, and then on the call I got like a good bit done, and I am very close to mid-row. I'm like maybe 1 or 2 rows from being done the front thing. Why did I not just finish that? Because at the very end of that call is when I started to feel sick, and I was like, my head kind of hurts. Thought I just was thirsty, like in my throat too, and I was like, I thought I was just thirsty, and then I went upstairs and took my temperature, and I was like, I have a fever. So that's interesting. Okay. Yeah. I'm loving how the color's looking though. It's super nice and very fun. Jack, who's on the call with us, is done. Like, she's basically done her body of her cardigan already. At least almost everyone else is like here-ish or a little bit further, so I feel good about this. I do feel like this looks extremely long. I'm gonna trust the pattern. She has a schematic on there. I mean, I did, you know, I knew what size, and I even sized down. So I guess it's not so bad. I mean, I think the V will be, you know, it's a deeper V, but then you're also going to add in the button band. It's probably fine. I mean, if I really am that close to the split, this is probably accurate-ish. Okay. Sorry, let me do some details really fast on that before we move on. That's the Calm Down Cardigan by Lily Kate France, who is Lily Kate Makes on Instagram and YouTube. It's a top-down saddle shoulder V-neck cardigan. It has an applied button band. I am making the size 4, which is 51.5 inches. I know, that's a little bit crazy, but size-wise, the recommended ease is 10 to 12 inches. I don't want that much ease, so I've stuck myself with 4-ish inches. I'm using 4mm needles, which is the recommended size for the body, 3.75 for the ribbing, like the little saddle shoulders are 3.75. And then the button band will be 3.5 theoretically. We'll see how it starts working out when we get there. I'm using woolly knit merino cones in bias. That's the color. And it's 100% merino, 514 yards for 100 grams, but held double is 257 yards for 100 grams. And I'm loving the cones. They feel pretty nice. I think it'll wash a little bit softer. They're definitely not as soft as like a superwash merino, duh. And having the two fingering together, like, it doesn't make them, yeah, it still feels nice. It feels fine. Okay, let's talk about the next thing on here, which is my Cinnabar by Andrew Mowry. I haven't made a ton of progress on this week, but I did switch to bigger needles, so that felt like a win. I did have a progress keeper on here, and look at that, y'all. Also, it's another of my little flowers from Hello Lavender, and they're just so cute. Also, like, it blows my mind every time I see these. Like, she did this entire thing by hand, like pushed these little pieces of, you know, clay or whatever together, and that just boggles my mind. Okay, yeah, so definite progress. Not like tons and tons, but I did, you know, the flipped repeat and then a little bit, and you can see, so like on this grayer side, you have the purple popping out there, and then on the woohoo, look at that colorful side, man, boom. And I have this like blacky gray that I'm doing right now, and I'm loving that dark, so moody. And you can see here, like, even more the shift in color, just like how subtle that nice change is with the spin cycle. So this is a one size shawl. It's an asymmetrical half brioche, half garter shawl. and it is made with 4mm needles, which is the recommended size, and I didn't swatch, so we're just living on the edge over here. It is made with pearl, Soho, good wool, and driftwood gray, which is undyed yarn. It's 100% Andean Highland wool, 383 yards per 100 grams, and spin cycle dyed in the wool in absolute zero, which is 100% American wool, and it's 200 yards for 50-ish grams. It is so, yeah, I'm enjoying that. I can see how making this with your hand spun is like so addictive. Emily is making good progress on hers. This is a Knit with Friends knit. Another one. How many, like this was a Knit with Friends knit. The Calm Down, the Cinnabar. And then also, I will say the Duotone is, I didn't know any friends were knitting it. And then Bex, who is the friend we just exchanged yarn with from New Zealand, is also in the Duotones. I saw her in the Slack channel and I was like, you signed up for this. So it's also another friend knit. We'll call it that too. Yeah, so I'm loving that shawl and I can't wait to keep progressing through it. Now that rows are getting longer though, I'm like, brioche is so nice and meditative, but it does like, I have to like continue to think a little bit more during the rows. But it's actually pretty good TV knitting as long as I'm paying enough attention to those increased rows, because I don't want to do this. I'm not unknitting again. But it's not like a thing you can easily go back and fix. So let's do our, you guys, is this my last whip? I think it is. Yeah, can you believe it? This is my last whip. Dun, dun, dun. Something I've actually made some progress on. You guys haven't seen this in a few weeks because I have been not ignoring it, but I have been doing other things. We'll say that. So this is my Leith cardigan. Sorry, I have things everywhere and I need to be able to see my notes. This is another pattern by Rebecca Clow, who is the Crave. And it is a bottom-up V-neck drop shoulder cardigan. So I'm making 2 V-neck drop shoulder cardigans right now. But one is top down and one is bottom up, and so that should be fun. It is I'm making size 5, 49.25 inch bust. The recommended ease is 1 to 4 inches. So also the intended fit is so different on these 2 knits. I'm using 4mm for the bodies, 3.75 for the ribbing, and this is made in 3 colors of Sorella Yarns Classic Worsted. We've got here Mrs. Patmore's Kitchen, which is this nice speckly one. And then this pinky color is called Magic. And then this gold color is called Warm Glow. I am a big fan of this color palette right now. It is so cute. Okay, so I split the body finally, and I've been working on this little panel the past couple days, yesterday and today. I don't know why I just picked this up, but I felt like I needed to just finish the body, and so I just went crazy and did all the rest of my rows to finish the body, which was not that much. But here is my progress keeper. This was like from 2 weeks ago because I think I just didn't pick it up at all for like more than a week. It's my little, like, this is from Sunrise Grove and Little Heart, Washington. Okay, yeah, so what do I have to say about this? I like it. I'm glad to be on this much smaller part. This feels very achievable right now. I'm doing my decreases. I don't have that many more rows to go before I finish with the V decreases, and then I think I just do a little bit of straight knitting and then some shoulder shaping maybe. I didn't read through the pattern all the way. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants on this one. Anyway, so sorry. Classic worsted is 100% superwash merino. 218 yards for 100 grams. So it's like truly a worsted yarn. It's very squishy. It's super nice. One thing I was thinking about, which is irrelevant, you know, really, but just I don't want to do all of these at the end. So now that I'm like at a good stopping point of you know what I've been working on, I was like, maybe before I pick up the main part of the body again, I'll just go through and whip up like at least 80% of these so that they're not just here taunting me. Always makes me feel better to do that. Yeah, so maybe that'll be my soul crushing task to do before I get to the other shoulder, which will also hopefully fly by. But yeah, I mean, I don't need to like finish that super quickly. It doesn't have a deadline or anything, but the other things that have deadlines are super long, so I'm not really worried about it. Okay. Those are all my projects. I mean, how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I haven't had only 5 whips in a really long time. I think I said I intended to cast on my November socks, which I now only have 2 weeks or whatever to get done. I do this every time. Oh, I'm going to cast these on at the beginning of the month. Yeah, no, I didn't do that. I did pick my pattern. I'm going to do the Hermione sock with some added stripes, like in my contrasting color, like a longer sort of, maybe some varsity stripes. I don't know. I just feel like I want a little bit of stripes in that pattern, but that yarn is so fun and speckly that I want us to have something that shows it off a little bit, not just like, you know, but doesn't take away from the pattern. Anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna cast those on. I do need to do that, but I have these 2 socks on my, I have more sock needles, but I don't have any more Chow sock needles, and I just like these the most. So I'll see. I need to measure them and see how much further, because maybe I'll knock at least one out so I can cast on the other sock soon. Acquisitions. I bought some D-stash yarn, and I got something very special from a friend. Let's talk about the very special from a friend first, because it's next to me and I have to grab the D-stash yarn. So here is something special from a friend. You may remember this color. I think it was in September. Erin was doing some fiber D-stash on her Instagram page, and she was having some of this fiber so cheap. So I said, yes, I'd love that. For very little money. And I was still, you know, thinking about potentially, this was pre-class, so I was like, hopefully I like it and I'll want to play with some other fibers. And this is Rambouillet, and I brought it to spinning weekend, or our fiber weekend away, when Ariel first got her ladybug, and I asked her if I could start some of this on that. Just, oh, you peek the color, it's the purpley. It was really slippy for me, and I was like, I feel like this will be a little bit until I'm at this level. Ariel, do you just want this fiber? You can have it. And she's the nicest friend ever, and did not just take the fiber, but made yarn for me, which is crazy. And I was like, it was basically free fiber and definitely free work from a friend, but she did the most amazing job, and it's so beautiful. So are you ready? All the buildup. Now here we go. Duh. Look at that. Stop focusing on my head. Focus on the yarn. There it is. It's gorgeous. Look how much depth is in there. Okay, first of all, even a couple of the girls that went with us, Sylvan and Katee were here for knit night this week when Ariel gave me this, and this is the first time I've seen Ariel since our knitting weekend away, I think, because she's been so swamped with stuff. And like Katee was like, is that the purple yarn? Because I didn't think it had so much depth. I thought it was just purple, and it's like, no, it was so surprising, and it's so beautiful. And it's like a really beautiful, like this has got to be like a DK weight. It's so squishy. It's really, really soft. She did an amazing job. I mean, she finished it even. She like washed it and thwacked it and dried it, and she's the best. It's so squishy and it's so nice, and I am going to make something with it. I don't know yet. With this like tonality, this would be a really beautiful hat or like little bandana cow. It's soft enough to be on my neck. It would be cute as a hat too. I should just wear yarn crowns all the time. I feel like that's my real vibe. This is my true nature. Okay, well, now you guys know I'm a wacko. All right. Anyway, Ariel, I know I already said this, but thank you so much. That's the sweetest thing ever. Maybe I'll make Ariel also help me find a pattern, because she's like so good at that. And now that she's knitting with her handspun more, I'm sure she has like tons of ideas for things that she's been looking at too. That's like a special one though, because it's not a color change. So it's like there's even more things I feel like you could make that would really like, you know, feature the yarn. I mean, everybody loves a Manhattan hat though. Like I could just make 100 of them. Okay, so the other thing I have is a de-stash purchase. Let me show the first thing, because this was not what I bought. And this is not to throw shade. This was an extra above and beyond what I bought. I didn't order this, but somebody, just the gal who I bought the regular part of the purchase, which is Nudiden. I don't need to like keep you in suspense. Also just threw in this beautiful skein. I told Ariel this week that this is almost like her spirit color right now, because she's been dabbling in so many of these darker colors, some blues and greens, and this is like, but it's a blushy base. So it's the two things. You know, it's nice. This is not a normal for me color, but is like a pretty contrast color, and definitely like I have things that could go with this. So, or it could be a knit for somebody else. I don't know. It's a 2-ply, it's fingering weight. That's all I know about it. There's no label. I don't know who it's from. I don't know if this gal dyed it or if it's another hand dyer, but if anybody knows, if this looks familiar to you, let me know. I would assume it's like an 80-20, and that's what I'm gonna just put it in my stash tracker as. Okay. So I got a bunch of this, but I'm going to show you one plate from each. So somebody on the D-Stash Discord was selling a whole lot of unspun yarn. I've always wanted to try it, and I have been looking more and more. There's a lot of patterns out there that I feel like would be, some of them are, you know, written using this, or the Manchalopus or whatever that one is called, or the Lopi version, which I can't remember that one is called either. But that one is like a worsted weight, like it's like thicker than this one. The Nudiden is like a fingering weight. Sharon, who is part of the San Francisco knit group, is a Nudiden fiend. We saw her like closet. She was showing us her colors. So many sweater quantities. So she's actually another person I was like, if I get stumped on like what to use it for, I think she'd be a good person. Mostly I think I can hold it double and make anything DK weight, and it would be great for that. It's really airy and soft. How pretty is it? It's so nice. Oh, it's so soft. Her tips for me though was, number 1, to wind it into balls to use it, and wind it like 2 at a time. So if I'm gonna hold it double, just wind them together. It like helps with the strength or whatever. And if I wind it into smaller balls, I can also center pull, which would be nice, because like 2 plates like sitting on top of each other to wind off would be, I don't know, maybe that's not the most annoying thing, but I can imagine it'd be so much easier to rip or tear it. That's the other thing I've heard, is that it is easy to rip it. So you just have to be kind and gentle while you're going. And also you can splice it back together. I know that's not everybody's jam. I'm going to do it. I'm going to at least make one sweater because why not? I have it now. I wanted to try it and I got this for a steal. And this color, which we think, so I think this one is Snow, maybe. I don't know. She didn't tell me the colors, but Sharon was looking at them and I can't remember if that's what she said for this one, but this one we think is Parallels. I think that's what she called it. And it's like, oh, it's picking up nicely right now. It's like a very browny pinky color. You know, back here it looks more pinky, and in real life it kind of looks like that, but this is picking up accurately. Like when you look at it up close, there is like quite a lot of brown and pink in there. I am going to do likely like a color work something. That's kind of what I was envisioning, because I also got this beautiful green color that's washing out a little bit. This is pretty accurate back here. It's like a very sagey green color. It's not my favorite green like to wear, but I think they look really nice together for something color worky. Who knows what? You know, one thing I was thinking possibly is Boylan Knitworks. What's the name of that? Caitlin Hunter, whatever her pattern company is called. That Alpine Bloom sweater, the full sweater. Maybe it's like Harvest Alpine Bloom. I didn't look at it yet. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll put the name and a photo of it, but this would be kind of fun for that. Something like florally is what I'm thinking. Like I want to do something like flowers plus, you know, some leaf. Main color. I have a lot of the white. That's a possibility. If I have any left over though, like I could do an opposites for the baby. She's small. She don't take a lot of yarn right now. I am thinking about, like, I just don't know what her style is going to be, and I feel like she's going to be an opinionated child, so I don't want to make her a lot of things in bigger sizes, but I also know those will take me a little bit longer, so, like, maybe I should stock up a couple of larger size things. If she doesn't want to wear it, I can gift it to somebody else. I don't want to make a ton of things for her at her current size, because she's still a very gross baby. It's just how babies are. She likes to put everything in her mouth. Okay. Let's talk about books real quick. So I finished last week, just after I posted the episode, really. That night, I finished Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, which is in the second book in the Empyrean series, and I flippin' loved it. I loved it. I don't care what other people say. Whatever. It was good. Okay, here's my only criticism, and I said this for her last book too when we were talking about in the book group. Her battle scenes are too long. This is not just her problem. I think so many authors do this. Like, they want all these things to happen, and mostly they want like some sort of tragedy to strike and blah blah blah, but like it's always like there's too much time spent inside of characters' heads during them that I'm like, you can't be having all of these thoughts in the middle of a battle. Like, there's so much instinct that takes over in like fighting. You would be dead 20 times with how crazy you made it sound if you were just standing there thinking during the battle. I loved the book. I hated the very last part. I'm not going to spoil. I felt it to be slightly unnecessary, but I think it's like what will continue. It's going to continue the story or whatever. I did think there were a couple of good plot twists. It's just so good. Smut for sure, because the two main characters, had already found each other in the first book. More smut sprinkled throughout. I don't think there's too much. I think it's wonderful. I'm here for a little bit of it at least. Come on. I mean, I read books that are 100% smut, which is the next one I'm going to talk about. So I read Cruel Seduction by Katee Robert, which is the 5th in the Dark Olympus series. Let me tell you a little bit about this series. I haven't talked about any of these books yet because I don't think so, because like the last one I read was earlier this summer. And I read all 4 of them this year. They were just like on another book Discord I was on, and people kept talking about them, so I was like, oh, let me give it a try. I think it was actually the first one, was one of our books of the month to read for the Discord. And to me, it's kind of a stupid premise, but basically, like, Olympus is a real place, but, like, shrouded and hidden from the rest of the world, but everybody knows it's a real place that's just, like, under a lot of intrigue, and they have some sort of barrier that keeps people from going into the city. There's not, like, a lot of magic that happens. Like, there's a little bit, but, like, it seems very strange, the magic that anybody has. Mostly it's just like the roles of like the top 12 like gods from Olympus, like from Greek mythology. They're like real people that have that name as a title for their job. So like Ares is like the head of their military, and like you can challenge for roles. You can also like kill somebody for a role. You can inherit just the top 3. Otherwise you get like named as the next person from like the last one. That's a stupid premise to me. I don't know. I just like don't understand why there's like mixed like a little bit of magic, not the whole thing. Like, yeah, it's just like a weird power struggle, and it's strange. I feel like mostly it was a way to give like a little bit of these like very minimally talk about Greek mythology, add in some extra outside characters with like traits like them, and then smut. I mean, that's really all. There is this political, like overlying political struggle happening in the background, but like, again, I don't really believe it. Not even that. Like, it's kind of dumb. Anywho, but you read about a different couple each time that comes together, and like mostly also about a different role, like a different, like Hades is the first one, and then I don't know, Ares is one of them. This one was Hephaestus and Aphrodite. It's fine. I don't know why I'm like continuing to read this series. I just, you know, sometimes you're like in it and you're like, they're not bad. The smut is okay. This one was like a lot polyamory, and like, I don't know, I didn't really believe all the relationship building either. I like some of Katee Roberts' books. I just feel like she writes so many that sometimes I feel like she's phoning it in a little bit. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. And then I did finish The Takedown by Lily Chu, and she is not phoning it in. This girl is so good. I loved this book. Okay, the premise of this one is I didn't talk about it much last time, other than the fact that she writes about half Asian characters in Toronto. Still what she does. That's what this one is. But this girl is a diversity consultant, and I can't even tell you, second page, she's like, I'm a diversity consultant. I was like, oh, I know I'm going to be so angry during this book. I was. People are assholes. Sorry, I don't really swear on here very much, but I was angry. Just so much passive aggressive BS happening. Anyway, it was super believable in that people are awful, and people hire diversity consultants when they want to basically save face. But it's about a fashion firm in Toronto, you know, being called out for diversity and hiring this diversity consultancy to come in and help, you know, fix them. And this girl, of course, there's a love interest, which I won't tell you about because that was a pretty good surprise. It's good. It's so, so good. And I feel like one of the things I don't love about a lot of romance books is that there's always this, like, you know, they meet, they either love each other right away and have barriers, or hate each other then love each other. It's like the only things that ever happen. Get together, hopefully some good romance happening, and then something pulls them apart at the end. And so much of the time it's one of them being such a big dummy, right? And then, oh, I forgive you, and, you know, la la, happily ever after. One of the things I really like about all of her books is that it's never just complete idiocy that somebody is like lost their mind for. Usually it's such an intricate problem that she builds that like one character makes a mistake in, or doesn't trust themselves, or something that, like, I just feel like she does it so well, like in a better way than so many authors, that like that little like tension at the, you know, before the end. Anyway, this one was so good. So if you want to read a new author, I think it's only available on audiobook, on Audible. It's like an Audible original. And I think the last books were Audible, and then the paperback would come out. And so I don't even think this is available in print. But if you have an Audible subscription, you can listen for free. So sorry if that counts out some of you for now, but I hope she does get a print version, like a paperback out, because it's so good. All right. I am currently reading Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score, which is the third of the Knockemout series. Now, I am actually getting through some of this. It's the only thing I could do yesterday. Like, I couldn't even sit up in bed and knit very much. Like, I think I did like half a row on the Duotone, and I was like, forget it. For during the day. I got my life together like later in the evening, but I still wasn't feeling great. But I did read a little bit, and I'm finally getting somewhere. I'm about halfway through, and so I will finish this one eventually. And I'm liking it more. There's a lot of intrigue in this plot. And then I am reading the 5th book of the Crave series, which is called Charm by Tracy Wolff. And I gotta say, I know a lot of people probably quit this series early because the books get like unnecessarily long. Some of it is like convoluted plot things. I don't know. What, you know, this one, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I finish series just because I'm a finisher. This one, I actually like don't hate the books, and listening to them super fast on audio has been the only way I would have ever gone through them. But they are really long. But this book is like, at one point, the main character loses a chunk of memory. I won't tell you why. But this is a revisiting. At the very last part of the 4th book, she says, I remember. And I think that's like really the end of the book. I can't quite recall, but I think that's like the very end of the book. She like tells her person, I remember. And then you go back into the memory of like what happened the whole time, and it's not what I expected. I don't dislike it. And I want to know too, like what, because this other character that was also stuck in time with the main character seemed to have a lot of growth and is invested in them. It was okay with them never remembering, but also I was like, oh gosh, going back to the memory, I was like, that must have been like, now I'm thinking about how well they handled the amnesia. It's really incredible. Okay. That's all for books right now. I got a couple more library things that came in this week, so I've got a couple of new things on the docket. And none of them are my Christmas reads, but I really do think I'm gonna look for one this week, probably. I like a fluffy, light holiday romance. Sounds nice. It's like Hallmark Channel movies, but in a book. That sounds great. Thanksgiving is next week, and for us here in the US, and that is always a weekend. I am hosting this year, but my in-laws are gone. they're in Arizona. Obviously my husband and my mom are here. My husband's younger brother and his partner and daughter, they are going to be here. And then my friend, I think one of my friends will join. She's being abandoned for a football game. So the Seahawks are playing the 49ers, and her husband's family are 49er fans, and they're like flying up here to go to that game. And so she will not have dinner buddies. And so I told her we would obviously have extra turkey because it's not a lot of people this year. But I still have to plan the menu and like buy things. But I'm going to keep it pretty simple, I think. And then Christmas decorations go up. That's what I do on Friday. So also I'm really glad the new company I work for also has Friday off. And I've pretty much my entire adult career, I've had Black Friday off, and that is my Christmas prep day. And so I was like, I would have to take it off anyway. But thankfully, my poor husband, sometimes I ask him to pull the Christmas decorations out on Thanksgiving night so I can get up early and start decorating, because it's like a whole day affair. It really is. It takes me so long. We have a big house though. We moved last year and I felt like one Christmas tree just wasn't going to cut it. So I have 3. You know, why not? So actually next week I might film on Saturday also, just depending on how Friday goes for me, because I don't like to have the chaos of everything not finished in one day, and it's a lot. 3 trees is a lot of trees to decorate in one day. I've got like furniture to move, the whole shebang. But we are hosting Mike's whole big extended family for Christmas Eve this year. That's when they always get together. And so I, need the furniture also to be like good for that festivity. So I got to think about that a little bit. That's my plan for this week, is like a little bit of work, a lot of turkey, lots of decorating, hopefully lots of knitting too. I, again, may cast something new on. Who knows? I'm not sure. Or I just might make a lot of progress on these current projects. Well, I'll definitely have to get those socks on my needles. So maybe that'll be the one cast on, if I can cast off one of these socks. But I'm really loving the projects I have on my needles right now. I have like something that's a little bit of a thinker, some patterns where I'm like now in the midst of increases and decreases and things like that. So also those are a little bit of thinkers. Honestly. Oh, and then I've got something that's mostly just like in the round no thinking right now for a little bit. What more could a girl ask for? Yeah, anyway, not a much shorter episode, but thank you for joining me and my semi-sick self. I hope that y'all have a really good weekend, day, whenever you're watching this. If you're watching next week for all your, during your break, I want to know when other people decorate for the holidays. Are you an early decorator? Do you wait to the last minute? Do you not decorate your house? That's fine too. And also, what is everyone's, this is actually an important question. I always want to know, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish? For our US friends here, what's the one thing you look forward to most with your turkey? And maybe it's the turkey itself. That's never my favorite, although I make a pretty mean turkey. My favorite is green bean casserole. It has been my whole life. It's I love it so much. And my aunt is the one that always makes it for our family back home. I started making it here. Mike's family is not a green bean casserole family, so they don't care about it. But I make use fresh green beans, and I don't use it's all of it is from scratch. I don't use canned soup or whatever. But I just love it. It's so good. Okay, and the other thing that makes Thanksgiving for me, and I can't do Thanksgiving without, is I make pumpkin roll. So it's like a Swiss roll, but with pumpkin cake and cream cheese frosting. And I'll show you a piece next week maybe. It is my favorite dessert for the holidays, for Thanksgiving. I do like pie, obviously. Who doesn't like pie? But that is like, that was also the my family thing. So my mom and all her cousins would get together for Thanksgiving every year, and we would have like 12 pumpkin rolls. That's an exaggeration, but there'd be like 4 pumpkin rolls at this thing because everybody ate like a slice or more. It's so good. Also, I have a newer, lighter filling I'm going to try this year and see how it goes. It won't set quite as thick, but I think it'll be good. Okay, yeah, so tell me that. This is not yarn related things. Also, tell me what you're working on. I always want to know your projects. Yeah, I mean, let's keep the conversation going. You can tell me if you have any unspun patterns that you love. Somebody the other week told me they were working on the tulip pullover, which I don't think is size inclusive, so I won't make that one, but that using Unspun, maybe it was knitted in that they were using anyway, and I think a mohair held together, which sounds so fluffy and nice. That would be a cool way to use this, though I think I just want to hold it either double or, you know, by itself. But if you have any good pattern recommendations for that, tell me about your most favorite Thanksgiving food, and when are you ready for the holidays? My mom was also playing holiday music like last week. She was like, I don't care. I'm ready. And I was like, you do you, lady. Whatever you want, man. Okay. That's me. That's all for this week. I hope you guys have a great rest of your whenever you're watching this, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.